Hi guys, I wanted to do a little bit of I know we've done a video before on our RAM diff upgrades. Now, I'd like to do another one and purely from the fact that there's so much going on in that RAM diff space, lots of information about failures, etc. You know, also on GVMs, axle loads, all of that sort of stuff. So I thought we need to do a little bit more detailed so that people can understand it a bit clearer and the whys and the whatnot. So obviously with the RAM 1500 space, the issue with the RAM 1500 is the axle loadability. So from the factory, these are either 1770 or 1860, depending on the variant that you've got, DS, DT, etc. The problem is a lot of GVMs are exceeding the manufacturer's axle specification. So they're going, yeah, sure, you can have a GVM, but I'm going to re-rate that diff that RAM says can do 1770 or 1860, and we're going to just make it 2100. The problem is the manufacturer has already stated what that axle load capacity is, and remembering that in the US that these things are 3.1 ton GVM. They come here, they're 3450, so they're already up 300 kilos odd, and then people are going, oh, well, we're just gonna add another 3, 4, 5, 600 kilos and just keep going. What they run into is the factory axle limit. So instead of doing any physical work, they just go, our engineers decided that it's strong enough and we're gonna give you extra carrying capacity. We're gonna just re-rate that diff. The problem that we're seeing with that, and we spelt this out right from the day dot when we first started the RAM space, the housing is not predominantly the issue, it's the wheel bearing and the wheel bearing areas. So, going through to, and I'll probably show what we're going first. So, the OEM housing itself, the axle runs inside, obviously, the tube. The bearing runs hard onto the axle shaft. So what you end up with is this small bearing here running hard on your axle. Yes, the diff necks down and it's a little bit thinner, but the thickness of the actual bearing area that holds the bearing is only about 3 mil thick. So what they're doing is they're actually cracking through here. Now, you know, people going, oh, but American trucks, they're big and they're strong. And the thing is, RAM make a 1500, they make a 2500, they make a 3500. So they build them to suit the spec of what the manufacturer says. The other thing is our terrain is a lot harsher here in Australia than it is in America. So we have a lot harsher environment, but the volume of diffs that we're seeing splitting through the bearing area, having bearing failure, is up there. So understanding where you need to rectify the issue, a piece of paper stating a re-rating of an axle doesn't really give you anything. The problem is when you have failure, you're purely going to get told that you overloaded it at some point and it's not a them problem, it's a you problem. So the problem is when you're out in the middle of nowhere, you know, this is the sort of stuff that can really cause you problems. So looking at that, comparing that now to our upgrade where we do a full floating kit. So that's a full floater kit, patented full floater kit. So, and what we do is basically we turn that into a full floater with 2 of these bearings. So what you end up with is 2 large bearings versus that what was in your car running hard on your axle shaft. The other one is, as a comparative, to see a 79 series bearing. They're the 79 series bearing off a 79 series. The bearings that JMACX run on these are considerably larger than that as well. So they're a much bigger bearing, you know, have much bigger loadability than a Land Cruiser bearing. The other thing that we offer in that kit is 300M shaft, so 300M axle material. So the strongest axle material you can buy, that's what our axle shafts are made of. So all of this stuff is made in Australia, so made locally, so it's all Aussie made. So now, going to diff options. So what we predominantly do is we do a GVM upgrade of 4200 and we give you an increased axle load ability of 2500 kilos. Now, people will say, well, why don't you give us 2,800 or 3 tonne? We can rate this axle up to 2,800 kilos, but we only rated it what we require you to use in that car. Putting 2,800 kilos on the rear axle of a Ram 1500 is a fail. You will end up with a broken chassis. It's too far. So going too far on these cars, you need to draw a line in the sand and go, what limit is my 1500, or do I need to step to a 25? A lot of customers go, a 25 is a truck, it doesn't suit my needs, I need a 15, but I need it to do a little bit more, and that's where this belongs. But some people are pushing the 1500s way too far and are going to end up in catastrophe, which is not good. And we recommend a lot of people over time that 1500 is not going to do what they need, no matter how much you sugarcoat it. They need a 25. Other customers, a GVM upgrade done correctly is perfect for them, and it's a daily driver, etc. So we offer 3 variants. So basically what we do is we do the refurbished OEM housing, which is the Dana housing. We reinforce the tubing all the way through to the center. We do the full float bearing end using the OEM center, etc. Okay, the other option is you take this, new axle tubes, new full floater kit, and put a ARB diff lock in it. So that's the next one. Obviously the next inherent weakness in these diffs is the center. So it is what it is. So you're only strengthening what you've got. This is your next weak point. Your next step up from that is obviously a full forward 9-inch replacement. So full fabricated housing, full float bearings, ARB air locker in a 9-inch center. So in a 9-inch center. So this thing here, you know, as we all know, 9-inch diffs have been around for a long time. You know, 1,000+ horsepower cars, they are the ultimate upgrade for any differential in a vehicle. So that full 9-inch kit. So, you know, we talk to customers, supercharging, whatever, you know, go the 9-inch. But you've got to make that choice as to what's going to work and be adequate for your needs. Obviously, the limited slips in the Rams isn't that flash, but the limitations. Do I do a reconditioned center, diff with axle ends and the full float kit with the upgraded bearings and axles? Or do I then do that plus add an air locker? Air lockers have been a bit hard to get and should be coming through later in the year, more prevalent. Or you go the full 9-inch variant. So they're your options, and they're the things you've got to consider for what you want to do with your Ram. But literally, we had a customer the other week. He's had a weigh check done by a weigh guy. He came in 100 kilos over the OEM axle rating, so he was around that 2 tonne mark, just under, and his bearing area has split through. So on his touring around Australia. So the tolerances are all eaten up. So to just keep putting it on paper is not a methodology for safety. All you're doing is eating into safety margins. So, you know, look at our options. They're on our website. All of our diffs are available through our JMACX facilities on an exchange basis. You know, outright 9-inch, recondition, full float, or full float with a air locker in it. So the options are there. So if you've got any questions, contact our office or contact your local JMACX dealer and get a quote. But remembering that if you want a GVM is not based on a differential. A GVM is based on brakes, suspension, axles, it's a package. So getting under that side of it, then we also do the GVMs as well. So, but if you've got any questions, contact us at jmax.com.au.